Have a good week, everybody. Here we are live from Chabad of Newfoundland. I'm Rabbi Chernitsky, co-director together with my wife Tuba. Delighted to be here with you again. We are live on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook, both on my personal page and Chabad of Newfoundland's page. This might become a weekly, we'll see. I wasn't planning on doing it today. However, I just saw a letter from the Lubavitcher Rebbe, the leader of the Chabad movement, about today. Today is a very unique day. Today is called Purim Meshulash, the threefold Purim. Even though for most of us, Purim started last Thursday night, ended Friday night, as Shabbat came in. However, since in Jerusalem, Yerushalayim, their Purim is Shabbat, and on Shabbat they don't read the Megillah. By them, Purim takes the shape of 3 days of celebration. Certain days, certain things they did Friday, certain things they did on Shabbat yesterday, and today they read the Megillah. They send the gifts of food, the Mishloach Manot. So today is the famous Purim Meshulash. Even though technically it would only apply to Israel, the Jerusalem specifically, they are the ones celebrating. The Lubavitcher Rebbe felt that, like anything else in Torah, anything else in Judaism, has a reverberating effect that affects the whole world, not just the place where it's actually taking place. We need to increase in Torah. We need to spread Torah, have classes, spreading joy, just like they're celebrating in Jerusalem. We need to celebrate, so put on some music, dance with your kids, or dance alone if you don't have kids. And yes, it's something special to honor today. I actually want to read the letter from the Lubavitcher Rebbe. It's published. It's today on Chabad.org, on their main site, chabad.org. Wonderful website, lots of useful information. And the letter goes as follows. This letter was written in 5741, 1971, and it reads as follows. By the grace of God, the 3rd day of the week of Tzav, 11 of Adar Sheni, 5741, Brooklyn, New York. To the sons and daughters of our people Israel, everywhere, God bless you all. Greeting and blessing. With only several days left to Purim, it is high time to remind ourselves and others about all that has to be done in connection with Purim, particularly in keeping with its special features this year. This coming Purim occurs on the 6th day of the week, the day in which the first man, Adam, was created, and he immediately called upon all the creation to acknowledge the Creator as King of the universe, which is why we will say this Purim, the Psalm, Hashem is King, He has guarded Himself with grandeur. This week is Parashat Tzav, Tzav indicating instruction and exhortation for now and for subsequent generations, which also points to the immediate and lasting effects that should result from the activities and inspiration of Purim. In the words of the Megillah, these days of Purim shall be remembered and observed by every generation, and their remembrance shall not perish from their descendants. That year, 5741, corresponding to 1971, is a year of Hakel, which in the times of the temple, the Beis HaMikdash, used to be ushered in with an assembly of all the people, the men and the women and the children, including infants, during the festival of Sukkot, in the temple to hear portions of the Torah that inspired their whole life to keep all the words of this Torah. Hence, the preparations for Purim and the experience of Purim itself in general and in every detail should permeate every Jew for now and for generations to come, beginning with the basic teaching of Purim, that in any matter related to the King of the universe, His Torah and mitzvot, His Torah and the commandments, even while still being scattered and dispersed among the nations, Jews, young and old, children and women, will not kneel nor bow down, but will always be proud of their Jewishness, and moreover will work in this direction to inspire every Jew that can be reached in the spirit of Hakel, assembling the men and the women and the children, and uniting them all into one kohol, community, for the purpose of observing all the laws of the Torah, beginning with the mitzvot of Purim, the Megillah reading, reciting the prayer of Ve'al Hanisim, Mishloach Manot, sending gifts of food, gifts to the poor, the Matanot Levionim, Purim Seuda, the Purim feast, and rejoicing with Purim. For those that just joined, we're in the middle of a letter of the Lubavitcher Rebbe about today, the famous Purim Meshulash, where Purim occurs on Shabbat for the people in Jerusalem, and then Sundays when they actually read the Megillah. So continuing on with the letter. In practical terms, specifically, to strengthen and expand the preparations for Purim with a view to enabling every Jew, young and old, children and women, to observe Purim in the fullest measure, especially involving also children, many children and older children, boys and girls, in both the preparations for Purim and in the actual fulfillment of the mitzvot of Purim. And of course, to care and provide also for Jews who find themselves in special circumstances in military service, senior citizens' homes, orphanages, hospitals, correctional institutions, to enable them to celebrate Purim fully. A further point of special relevance to this coming Purim is in connection with the fact that when Purim occurs on a Friday, it becomes an extended Purim for the holy city of Jerusalem, extending into Sunday in some aspects, like the Purim Seudah, the Purim feast, rejoicing with Purim, Mishloach Manot, the sending of food gifts to a friend. When Jews went into exile after the destruction of the first temple, they vowed never to forget Jerusalem and remember it and raise it above every joyous occasion, every simcha. As David HaMelech, King David, the sweetener of the songs of Israel, declares in Psalms, Tehillim, it would therefore be appropriate, indeed, very much so, for Jews everywhere to take this coming Sunday, that year was the Parsha Shmini, a particularly joyous one, to make this coming Sunday, Parsha Shmini, a particularly joyous one by additional activities that produce joy. Torah study, rejoicing the heart, spreading joy among Jews in the spirit of Ahavas Yisrael, and if suitable or necessary, through Mishloach Manot, sending gifts of food to friends and gifts to the poor, the Matnot Levionim, and particularly through gatherings to spread Yiddishkeit in the spirit of Yerushalayim, as we know that Yerushalayim stands for Yirah Shlema, complete awe of Hashem, of God. If you're just joining us, we're reading a letter of the Lubavitcher Rebbe about today, the Purim Meshulash, where Purim is celebrated on Sunday in Jerusalem, and now we're going to continue. Especially through gatherings, hakel of Jewish children, all of whom, including infants and Tzivus Hashem, and to do all the above with true joy in accordance with the conclusion of the Shulchan Aruch, Code of Jewish Law, the section of Arachaim in the laws of Purim, that says the good-hearted feasts always, toiv lev, mishteh tamid. In this way, we identify ourselves still more with Jerusalem, to which we return every day at prayer. As it is written, they will pray to Hashem, God, through the city which you have chosen and given to every Jew and to all Jews forever as an eternal inheritance. We're almost done with the letter. May God grant that just as in the days of Mordechai and Esther, it turned out that for the Jews there was light, joy, gladness, and honor, in the plain sense of these terms, as well as in their inner meaning, as our sages explain, so that it will be for us. And with Geula following Geula, redemption following redemption, that after the Geula of Purim should immediately follow the true and complete redemption through a righteous Mashiach, a redemption similar to the liberation from the land of Egypt. And before that, while still in exile, we, your people and sheep of your pasture, as it says in Psalms, will thank you forever. We will tell your praise to generation and generation, with esteem and blessing for Hatzlacha, success in all the above, and for a joyous Purim, signed with the Lubavitcher Rebbe's holy signature. So that was the end of the letter, speaking about today's date and how it applies to everybody, even to us, outside of the land of Israel. Some short Q&A, questions that we get on a regular basis. People ask me if I am the rabbi at the Beth El Synagogue on Elizabeth Avenue in St. John's. The answer is no, I am not the rabbi at the Beth El Synagogue. I am the only rabbi in Newfoundland, but we are running our own operation. The people there are wonderful, wonderful people. We have a great relationship with them, but we're not working together at an official level. Moving on, we spoke about Purim, Q&A. Also, I wanted to mention last week, David Mintz passed away. He was 89 years old. If you ever had tofuti, the dairy-free ice cream, they made the dairy-free cream of all sorts. He's the one that made it. He has a very interesting story, actually, how that all started, and it's connected with Chabad. He studied at the Chabad Yeshiva in Bedford and Dean as a young man. And when he grew up, he had a kosher restaurant in Manhattan, a kosher meat restaurant, right with meat and dairy. And so he says how after people ate in his restaurant, they would go next door to a non-kosher restaurant to eat dairy ice cream. He couldn't serve ice cream because he served meat in the restaurant. And this really, really bothered him. So he started experimenting how to make a dairy-free ice cream. And it took a long time, many, many months, maybe even years. And there were times when he was ready to give up, but the Lubavitcher Rebbe encouraged him to keep on trying. The Lubavitcher Rebbe told him you'll be successful, and actually you should keep trying and make many, many different flavors. So we all owe it to the Lubavitcher Rebbe. Now there's many, many brands, but back then there weren't. This is going back, I don't know offhand, and I would have to look it up, but probably at least 40 years when he made it to foodie. And yeah, so he was very successful. He made a lot of money. And we get to enjoy dairy-free ice cream thanks to him. My connection to him is that I actually got to stay in his house many, many years ago when I was a young yeshiva student in Morristown, New Jersey. We had a Shabbat off. We had to leave the yeshiva grounds. And together with two friends, we spent Shabbat in Tenafly, New Jersey. And somehow they arranged for us to stay in his house. He had a house in Tenafly. And we stayed in his basement. I saw him briefly, barely spoke to him. But his memory should be a blessing. The neshama should have an aliyah, his soul should have an ascent on high. And Zosana Gute better, he should intercede on high for all of us, for goodness. And that's all for today. Stay tuned for tomorrow's Kabbalah class, part 2, 12 p.m. Newfoundland time. If you liked this live stream, click on like, share it with your friends. And if you have any comments, you could write a comment. If you want to contact me, you could send me an email at rabbinewfoundland@gmail.com. You could also go to our website, rabbinewfoundland.com. It's very, very easy. We're very excited because next time we're going to be using this new mic. We got a new mic to help with our live streams. Thank God. So again, I wish you Shavua Tov. Make sure to put on some music today, dance a little bit, eat something extra for the Purim Meshulash, and make it a great week.